Hello, everybody. Good evening. So I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce the truly amazing Duriel Harris to you this evening. Duriel is a poet, a performer, and a sound artist. She grew up on the south side of Chicago, and she's the author of the print collections Drag from 2003, Amnesiac from 2010, and Speleology from 2011, which was a video collaboration with the artist Scott Rankin. In 2017, her volume No Dictionary of a Living Tongue was selected by Kazim Ali for the Nightboat Poetry Prize. Claudia Rankin has written that No Dictionary of a Living Tongue is a primer on citizenship that is, quote, proprioceptive, visceral, destabilizing, visionary. I think that pretty much says it all. I'm still going to keep talking and say more things, though. Duriel's poems run over the lip of the page and spill out, reaching toward us irresistibly. Sometimes this happens materially, as in this fold-out page from No Dictionary of a Living Tongue, which I'm going to show you, which brings a kind of three-dimensionality to the text. So the book actually has what looks like a broadside folded into it, if I can call it that. At other times, her poems leap beyond their bounds aesthetically, moving between poetry and prose and onward into video projects and embodied performance. And it's always an incredible experience to watch her perform. She's a real dynamo. Really, really excited you're here. Duriel makes us question what we think a poem is, and then shows us what a poem might become, bringing together dialogues, narratives, lyrics, musical scores, dictionary entries, scattergrams, and what she calls story cubes. At the same time as her texts nudge and slam at the boundaries of form, they do the same in their treatment of racism, violence, memory, love, and the body. She calls the body a trick, a knot, a dare. One of the things I love about Duriel's poetry is how she virtuosically combines keen, evocative, propulsive sound play with a probing concern with politics and social justice. Her writing is never satisfied. It's always surprising, always roving and searching and lighting unexpected fires. Duriel is a co-founder of the avant-garde poetry and performance trio, the Black Took Collective, and editor of Obsidian, Literature in the African Diaspora. She has received grants from the Illinois Arts Council, the Cave Canem Foundation, and the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. Her work has appeared in numerous venues and has been translated into Polish, German, and Spanish. She holds degrees from Yale University and NYU, and a PhD from the University of Illinois. She's currently an associate professor of English at Illinois State University, where she teaches creative writing, literature, and poetics. And we're really thrilled to have her judging this contest for us this year. Very honored to have her come in and be part of our literary community and to have this dialogue with a student writer. So on this chilly night, please join me in giving her a very warm Chicago welcome. Thank you.
Good evening. Wait, I'm going to try that again. Good evening. Hello. Okay, good. We're here. Thank you, Rachel, for that wonderful introduction. Yeah, there's a lot going on, huh? There's a lot going on. I'm not sorry. I was going to say I'm sorry, but I'm really not. I'm not sorry about feeling. You know, sometimes I find that I'm just struggling to remain in my body. And it's simply because, it seems like, we took a wrong turn or something, right? And I'm not sorry, though, to have the opportunity to be my body. And there's something really wrong going on when you have people wanting to escape the experience of being a body, where we're driven, right, to want to take our own life because of the madness that is around us. And sometimes, it's the madness that we have taken into ourselves, unbeknownst to ourselves, right? And we didn't even know that we had a choice to keep it out. So I'm going to read a little bit of something. I also have a couple of new poems that I'm going to read. And I'll read some stuff from No Dictionary as well. I'm not really sure what order they'll go in. I tend to like to move as I am compelled, being in my body and being here with you. I do really want to thank you for being present with me this evening so that we can be with each other. And I have some awarenesses as well. Usually I just read poems and I don't say anything else, but I'm going to say some other stuff as well. And I'm going to begin with a little bit about the flesh, which I am and you are. And then we'll go into some poems and such. I'm reminded, I remember kind of anew, that there is power in the word. The word naming a thing brings that thing more fully into being. The name engenders the concept, making it shareable and all the more real. A seer reminds me, when I speak grief, I imbue my body with grief. The question then, how to be truthful and still court joy, how to be truthful and inhabit joy, to understand perhaps not everything need be spoken. At times, the best thing is to be still, to sit in stillness, to listen, observe, to weep and release through weeping, to shape in language on the page, the symbols of it, the marks, but deny it vibration and generative power. To choose carefully and with intention that which we will perpetuate in utterance, that to which we will give rise. To choose carefully and with intention that which we will augment with our agency, our energy. That which we will empower, enable to reproduce in form in water. For sound produces forms in water, and we are mostly water. I repeat then, our charge is to choose carefully and with intention that which we will fuel our energy, that to which we give flesh, that to which we give form and substance in our bodies, our flesh. And now there's a subtitle that rehearses itself. It's a subtitle from an essay that I wrote and continue to write in some ways. This is flesh. This is the prize. So I hear redemption songs, and a woman ancestor, Sarah, June 14th, 1862, from Harper's Weekly. And then also I hear whispers of baby Suggs in Beloved, baby Suggs holy, saying, here, in this place, in this here place, we flesh. Flesh that weeps, laughs, flesh that dances on bare feet in grass. Love it hard. Today I will be flesh. I'm going to read a piece called Dream in Wartime. It's January 2018. So Dream in Wartime is from January 2017. It is like a purge. I am with Black women, university students, and immigrants at the gate of an old checkpoint. It's still dark, but already warm. We know we haven't long. The mobs are coming with guns, bricks, machetes, and acid. Some of us retreat into the vacant station and hide in the common rooms. We flatten ourselves beneath conference tables, fold our arms to protect our heads, and wait. After a few minutes, I change course, slip out to the exterior hall in the building's rear, keeping to the wall, low to the floor. But they have arrived. A large group, guns and acid, take the interior conference rooms and offices. A smaller group rounds the corner on a bladed mower, sweeping the width of the corridor. They laugh over the electric hum as they approach our naked limbs, our screams. The mower passes over me. Somehow I am spared. A few others also survive. The floor is wet and red and loud. Rumbling ride atop our bodies, rumbling, then quiet. In a hall behind us, there is an old iron bed frame, metal coil bed spring, and I squeeze under it, not to be brazen in my aliveness, not to taunt the killers with my flesh. I shove myself under, scraping my back, snagging and tearing cloth all the way under, though I am still visible through the coils. Others join me. Our fear is a steady current, and I can hear nothing. Spitting white specks and blood, the killers climb atop the bed spring and stab at the corners and cut the metal, peel it back and stab, 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 stab. Then at a signal, they disappear up the stairwell to the higher floors. As soon as they leave, I run. I run to the loading dock, to the heavy machines. I run to the day workers in the resistance, moving slabs of rock, remnants of old temples and churches. And I say, Mister, I can work. I'm small. I can work. I can work for you. Let me show you, mister. The boss shoos me away at first, but I'm small, a small boy. So I squeeze between giant planks of stone, panels of ancient hieroglyphs, and say to him, Mister, I'm small. I can work. I can do things, get in small spaces. And he gives me an assignment. Take this stone to the border. I'm afraid to go. That's where I've come from. But I take the stone slabs on my back and shuffle, shoulders slumped toward the gate. In an instant, a larger, faster man takes the stones from me and is gone. Then I'm with the boss in calmer times, and he says, Hi, calling me by my old name. And it is clear he has recognized me from before, when I was his student, when there was order and he knew my parents and decided to save me, but could not show favoritism or weakness of emotion. So he gave me an assignment, but to another to take when I would hesitate, not yet acclimated to the quick rhythm of the work. And in this scene, we are enjoying almond chai tea, and there is a girl here too, from my past, the time of order. Maybe we were students in the same school, not together, not in the same class or even during the same years, but that one thread we cling to. We are the same age. She is like my twin. In this scene, the man eases back in his chair. I rest my elbows on the tempered glass tabletop. The girl, my sister, swings her legs back and forth, scuffing her white shoes on the powdered steel frame. We sip tea and eat figs in the clean, open air. An awareness. The birth family is dead. The past is a distant memory of unmaking. In this dream, what is recovered, what is recuperable, is not the original state, but rather a sense of presence. The flesh recovered from anxiety and hypervigilance. In the moment, what is recovered is a present on which to build a potential future. Who will be my witness? I just wrote something, and I haven't really heard it out loud. I'm going to read it to you. It has a couple of notes, so I'll read those notes as well. It's a part of this series, Dream in Wartime. France promises to increase military assistance to Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger as they join forces to battle Boko Haram and the extremist campaign across the region's borders. Saturday, 21 February 2015. 7-year-old girl kills herself and 5 others in Nigeria's suicide bombing. The Guardian, Sunday, 22 February 2015. the soldier's dream. The child has one body and 5 bodies it holds. The body of eyes, the body of ears, the scent body, the body of tongues, the tactile body of singed hairs. Seedless, the one body is stiff and shrouded in white netting. The child has one body and 5 black stones, tiny fists with gold wrists pinned over her heart. The child has one body and 5 small bags of salt pinned to the band round her waist, 5 glass rattles braided into her hair. The coarse blue salt and jet charms offer protection. The rattles ward off trouble. She stares behind me into the future. She hovers in the air. Around her, the gilded pages of a book rise and fall amid mottled feathers, dirt, and dry leaves. The dirt colors everything red. Me too. I would have on a black top, but I've been rather warm at odd times lately. Some of you know what I mean. My own private summer, so I had to wear something that I would not overheat in. And so I was like, oh, I could wear like a black turtleneck. No, not the thing, right? I was standing here sweating. But me too. And I'm someone who doesn't, I really am interested. I'm interested in joy. I'm interested in joy and love, But I was born on Christmas. And I say that to say, even Jesus threw some people out of the temple, right? Okay. This is called Maybe Not. But for now, I turn to the once friend, once BFF, who walked because of what? My sexuality? No. Better to keep the secrets between us. She gave me her brother like a disease. Piss house and dog shit yard, lean pincher growls echoing from basement dark like fumes. Unwashed cock funk, his smell coating the walls, clinging, a sticky fog. Dead factory father, night shift and resentment curtains always drawn. Silence to let the man sleep. Piss house, dog shit yard, weed cracked walk and dogs, mean dogs bred to kill. Wished I'd had a gun. The father working nights and then dead. The mother a teacher. The children red-haired, medium light brown-eyed, auburn and blonde, red-haired heads and blonde-haired bodies. The boy flexing left in charge, the girl calling herself a friend, snoring, sleeping like the dead. Or did she just pretend? And now with her white family and coal white Jesus, cog white country, almost heaven, West Virginia mountains by way of Iraq. It's been years. I go looking for your brother and find in that Bama town, I look harder and find you, the troops, the war. Did you go there to die, Major? And why didn't you die? And in your video Christmas card to your stateside fam, why not mention your brother, the tiger shark you fed me to? Wasn't it that? Bait? Lure? Didn't you help him? I thought I was saving you from a beatdown, but you just wanted me there to distract him, your house, your terror, your horror house. There were bees. And the fridge, his funky room, his dark body and unwashed and filthy sweat, how I had to stay away. I cried when you moved. I was heartbroken and so relieved. He was gone with you to some hot as hell place down wherever. Do you save your girls, your daughters, your soldiers? How many of the enemy have you killed? How many bodies decorate your war chest? Ms. Drill, Ms. Discipline. Your teeth still look small, were small. But your jaw was solid. You were tough, scratched up, resilient. And did you fault me for being more sensitive, for caving too quickly, giving way, unable to take it, being no soldier, no fucking soldier. How many names you've had, each one a different woman maybe, or you just more soldier, not a woman quite. Amazon, but almost lone, not a target, no, a soldier. Killing machine, sending 1 minute home for Christmas from Iraq. And you didn't die there. Did you consider it? Run toward the blood, save the other soldiers, your men. Why did you ever let me come to your house? Beg me to come. You know what would happen. You knew, didn't you? You knew, but didn't care. You wanted to kill me, saw me as weaker, softer, spoiled, saw me as lucky, sheltered, a baby, something, a setup. You knew he would come for me. Maybe I'm not being fair now. Maybe you hoped it wouldn't be true. Hoped he'd be too busy with more teenage shit to notice another 9-year-old girl. He is 4.5 years older than I am and bigger, much bigger. In the struggle I cannot win. Why are boys always trying to kill me? And why are you just another one of the boys? I want to smash your face into the crowd, climb atop your body and bash your head into rocky soil. I want to break your teeth into coffee grounds. I want to scratch out your eyes. You couldn't see anyway, right? And even now you're safe here in the U.S. and have enough kills to bury my body in your pissy basement. The mean dog's your brother, a killer, a sociopath at least, growing himself to terrorize, training the dogs to bite and tear. He himself a lash, a destroyer, a monster who would eat children except he found them tasteless. No, his pleasure was all in the cock and balls, his nasty dick massaged up right. Attention, dog's ears perked up, holding piss and shit all day, blaming the girl bodies. Tear them open like a bag of chips, hot stuff. Recreate your ashy knees and relay races. A shared burden? You put him off on me. Gave him my scent so you could get some sleep. Isn't that how it went down? And didn't your mother know something was awry? You Alabama Reds, didn't she know? Steel in her brain, light-blinded eyes, the dark house, and there's blood somewhere, only not enough to stop him. You disappeared. Isn't that your thing? Go to military school, war, go risk and save someone else. Why didn't you die there? You left me to die, didn't you? Is that a past you deny? Major, you didn't die there, and he's not dead either. It is over. That time, Major, why aren't you also over? Having outlived your purpose, messenger and apprentice, you let me cry as if it was my fault. You fucking lousy bitch, Major. As for your master, I would, but he's a sack of shit. Someone should break his teeth with a lead pipe. Hang him from a tree in tar and kerosene, burning a flaming droplet. Imagine a giant tree decorated with all the rapists in Marion, Alabama, their twinkle toes chopped off. Light lit a flame. Bring the girls forward to this mark in the soil, in the sand. Draw it with your foot. Set 'em up to shoot. Riddle, riddle, riddle for a holiday. Could be high holy days, these short-eye trees. Short-eye bottle trees. I still want to be fair. It's hard to identify with the powerless. Hard to identify with the victim. You know I wasn't keeping time, so you're gonna have to tell me how much time I have. I was thinking at one point about how monsters are made, And I was wondering, I was like, and I haven't studied this, so I can't really say, but just even from my own experience, I remember there being one time where I was not quite in my flesh, not quite my flesh, right? So I'm moving outside of myself, doing something, and then something happened to bring me into the present moment, and it was as if someone woke me up and said, "Look at that baby." And I said, "Oh." And then from then on, I was able to see, even though I couldn't see myself, I couldn't see to save myself, I could see the others. And so then I could be an advocate for others until I could get to the point, right, where I could be an advocate for myself. But I think that some people, like they're little kids and it just doesn't happen. There isn't that moment that brings them back into themselves so that they can rescue their own humanity. Right? I'm going to read one of the cubes. I wanted this to be such a joyful reading. I know, and then it's like, why are you reading your work? You should read something else, Run, children, run. I couldn't help but say that. He's like, no, gotta go. I'm going to read one of the story cubes. Does anyone in here speak German? Read German? A little bit, kind of, some. Can you make it out? Okay, maybe I'll do that too. I might just end there. So I'm going to read Decorous. And I don't know, I'll read in some order. Maybe I'll read the back to the front. So it looks like, it's an approximation, right, of what you can do. It's a book, right? So there are limitations. And I was talking to Kirsten about this earlier, right? Because even if it was a pop-up, you still don't have the bottom, right? And then I didn't want it to feel like a craft project where you have to put it together. So there are challenges. So, but we were able to get there to be text on all the surfaces, so you could kind of have the experience of if you actually had the thing, because those are the words that would be on that side if you were looking at this space, and this is kind of upside down, if blah, blah, blah. And I was telling Kirsten, too, that I had to work a little bit to make it so that I could disrupt the linearity, so that the order of the faces, the text that's on the faces, it doesn't privilege really any of the faces. So there are certain things they're upside down and everything, so you can't just take it and move it around and be like, oh, it goes like this. No, it really doesn't. You're just kind of like, I don't know. It's just like pick a place and read. Decorous. The story has not one ending, smudged into a solitary future, nor one formal statement or admission. In principle, it is a seed. The body that remains exhibits remarkable modesty. It is not fitting. The sun-yellow room is warm. It is not fitting. The sunflower yellow room is warm in the afternoon. The twin beds covered with plush teddy bears and zoo animals flank the walls, each in reach of the picture window. A pillow sham with blue and yellow watercolor butterflies alit above daffodils drapes the yellow wicker hamper. The younger child wears ribbons. Her small bottom does not slide into the yellow plastic rectangular garbage receptacle as expected. The older child pauses to recalculate. The younger child's mother arrives with snacks. No one cries. Sound and heat and color drained from the room. The older child stands before the mirror and watches the dust float in the air. Now the explanations will be bearable. A beautiful hour will come up around you to take the complications, your arms and legs, your heart, your blood and cilia, your cell structure, directly from your mind. Your shoulders will slush through space, your vocal cords, the final strings will snap. Only these familiar blue smells will remain. Who clings, disquieted to despair, hovers outside of passage, softly singing, death is in the cane. Pilot me, spiraling between shadows, riding rags, frayed edges to arrive in noiseless shattering to greet the chatty breeze and strike with force. Something slips beneath the stain, something swings the swollen fist, something spills inside the battered turning and soaks into the frame. The body that remains shares the confession. How easily you disavow even the bald stupefaction you substitute for shame. Projecting aliveness split off from the crowd, imagining mannequins' flat and ready eyes and crumbling wax, sluggish and sour. Anger, unnamed, turns inward. The buttocks' baggy denim display slapped to stinging boldness until the whole body brightens to break against the vocal cords. The black box boasts a single chair, a braided wire, a leather paddle and crop, a dark hood slipping, a stain, the body that remains. So I want to read He Who Fights with Monsters. Is that cool? All right. So, Kirsten, I need your help. If you don't mind coming and standing pseudo next to me, I know you're sick. I'm all like, give me 3 feet. So I'm going to read. So kind. I'm going to read the first epigraph, and then Kirsten's going to make out the second epigraph.
Oh, she'll try.
She will inevitably do better than I would. It's almost impossible for you to do worse than me. I think people might be like, is that French? No, I'm joking. If I said it, that would really be absurd. I think I'm stalling a little bit. Just a little. Okay. I'm going to say a little bit about monsters. So I'm going to tell you that the initial question came out of basically my head when I was watching Ghosts of Rwanda, and I heard someone from a representative of the United States of America speaking to reporters. And I think that one of the first ones was Warren Christopher, who had said that everyone who wanted to leave had gotten out. Right. Oh, so it should be virtually empty. How can they be hatcheting people if they're right? So that was. I didn't even understand how he could form those words. Everyone, So, and then I had the image of the people begging, and then another representative of the U.S. Working with semantics as we do, said that they had seen evidence of acts of genocide, but not evidence of genocide. Right. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So, this is from Aidan Ballou. How many does it take to metamorphose wickedness into righteousness? One man must not kill. If he does, it is murder. 2, 10, 100 men acting on their own responsibility must not kill. If they do, it is still murder. But a state or nation may kill as many as they please, and it is not murder. It is just, necessary, commendable, and right.
Wer mit Ungeheuern kämpft, mag zu sehen, dass nicht dabei zum Ungeheuer wird. Und wenn du lange in einen Abgrund blickst, blickt der Abgrund auch in dich hinein. Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche. Jenseits von Gut und Böse, Sprüche und Zwischenspiele.
The translation of the epigraph by Nietzsche. He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster. And when you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. From Beyond Good and Evil, Aphorisms and Interludes. He who fights with monsters. How many acts of genocide does it take to make genocide? How many birds to call it a flock? How many drops to make a sip swell into a spill? How many does it take for a quorum? How many does it take to trend? How many does it take to be in a race? How many to seek and destroy? How many lanterns, ribbons, needles, balls, and bouncing Bettys? How many does it take to fix it? How many does it take to swing? Just how many licks does it take to get through the meat to the red and yellow marrow? How many does it take to decide? How much ammo? How many tanks? How many bombs, pits, and traps? How many swinging spiked logs? How much debris? How many fences and patrols? How many stockpiles? How many does it take to constitute a deluge? How many for a good hunt? To haul the load, to pave the drive? How many does it take to persist? How many stones for a good throw? How much shot? How many dry cords? How much seed? How many charts does it take to fill the set? How many monitors for the mix? How much gear? How many cast iron pots? How many non-porous pouches? How many spades and shovels? How much tubing? How many seconds to raise the plow, to go blank, to go under, to spontaneously combust? How many masses does it take to make a city? How many pipes and drains? How many of any to make a horde? How many to create a virus? To pass the pandemic 2 by 4? To hack the lot? To hack up a lung? To hack the hackneyed phrase? How many does it take to pluck a turkey clean? You do the work. What materials, what tools are required? How many does it take to put the facts straight? How many does it take to invade? How many to make a conspiracy? How many to settle the score, to furnish the proper argument, proceeding by stealth? How many does it take to slip off the yoke? How long and how many to get the greasy thing back in the bag? If we start counting now, how many episodes? How many features? How many angry disruptions? How many chokeholds? How much tape, reel to reel? How many sackcloth dummies? How many planks and nails? How much thread and glass? How many wicks? How much gasoline? Given the necessary conditions, how many behaviors? How many reactive responses to minor stimuli? How many frantic efforts? How many impulsive outbursts? How much dysphoria? How intense? How much water? How much voltage? How many plastic liners? How many does it take to manipulate the order and the non-autonomy of its field of action? How many porters? How many pickets? How many wood dowels and ditches? How many does it take? How many in the face of negative but transient public opinion? How many sheets? How many muumuus? How many scouts? How many badges? How many surveillance cameras? How many transcripts, interviews, and surveys? How many laws of the land? How many well-laid minefields? How many false statements, false starts, false prophets, false teeth? How many articles? How many volunteers? How many exercises? How many disclaimers? How many people? How many times would you remember them all? How many have you tried? A cedar box for you. 1, 2, 3 body rakes for me. How many does it take? When will they tell us? What is the sampling error? How many? And how much does it cost? How many to form a committee to make it stick? How many limbs to earn the medal? How much restless fury? How much saliva? How much froth? How many does it take if they're kicking in flimsy doors and rushing the cockpit? How many if they hang like bats from trees? How many twisted triangular signs? How many smudged tactical maps? How many unexplained casualties? How many aggregates? How many comprehensive national accounts? How many derivations? How much fiscal and monetary policy? How much uncertainty to crowd them out? How much inflation? Who and how many will it take to gate and guard the growth? How many reindeer? How many rejoinders? How many relapses? How many rejection slips? How many rounds? How high the fever? How much relational grammar? How many to get the maximum benefit, to flourish in the context of capital, in direct relation to what is missing? How many by force and with intention? I have 53 honorable kills. How many does it take? The reason that something is an example, a fold. How many does it take to define a problem, a predicate? An economy of virtual knowns interrupts. We've been suggesting for almost a month now. How many does it take? Also, we've run out of steam. How many does it take? They may not even be people. What the fuck's in them, and how many does it take to kill you? How many undersigned and you-know-whos? How many taxpayers? How many conventions? How many leagues of concerned citizens? How many symbols? How many sites? How many warnings? How many wrenches? Beware, 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 beware. How many from behind and beneath? How many pulling rope, stretching hemp? How many flags? How many nights? How many sepulchres and bloody moons? How many stakeholders? How many bound together? How many mounting the air? How much matter by volume to scale? The question is not how many links in the chain. The question is how many can be made available and how quickly dispersed. In a population of X, how many does it take before everyone has been infected? How many repeated read-alouds? How many does it take for Christ to be in the midst? How many does it take to wrestle him, sit on him, pin him to the ground? How many does it take to hold him down? How many until none becomes some? How many does it take to form a statistically significant pattern? Get another arm, another ear. How many does it take till it's enough? How much do you need? How many does it take to make the road impassable when the rain brings the brew to the surface? Let us see the bodies, they say.